Back when I was around 14, puberty was doing some high kicks, and I suddenly became more aware of girls than ever before. All of a sudden, I'm thinking things like, the girls around me are very pretty, and I like them, and I don't know what to do about it. So my response to this was to become very afraid of girls. I would get awkward speaking to them, and I would start sweating if I sat next to one, but I thought I could hide it pretty well. Or at least I thought so until a friend asked me, "Hey, are you angry at Johanna?" She told me you sit really far away from her during homeroom, and she thought maybe she had done something wrong. And that's how I found out I'm not very subtle. One night during a LAN party, which was the big craze back in the 2000s, I somehow started talking to a friend of a friend, an actual real-life girl, except online, through MSN Messenger. And we just happened to have a lot to talk about. I stayed up all night the entire LAN party just talking to this girl. And we ended up talking a lot. I can't remember what we talked about, but maybe it was about anime, I don't know, but we became online friends. And one day, she messages me, "I'm coming to your school tomorrow." And I reply, "Haha, you're joking, right? No, I'm coming to your school tomorrow." And I think that's a weird thing to say, but whatever, that's not happening. So the next day I'm at school heading for lunch, and I walk outside the building, and I see her. And she's standing there, and I'm standing there, and we're looking at each other, and I just bolt. I cover up my face, and I start running away straight past her, because, you know, she definitely won't recognize me then. And I just run to the school lunch building. And that's when the shame starts to settle in. I don't know what to do now because I just made a complete fool of myself. My only option is to have lunch or go back, I guess. So I go back and she's still standing there and she gives me a hug. And it's kind of fine, she was a bit hurt, but we sit down to talk and I skip the class to make up for it. I will say though, in my defense, I didn't expect this. I never gave out any personal information or what school I go to. But despite that extreme initial awkwardness, somehow everything worked out fine. Some week later or so, I'm sitting at home and my dad comes into my room and says, Mattias, there's a girl here asking for you. And I'm thinking, I guess my parents are up to something because that's not real. But I go to the door and she is there. So okay, I invite her in because that's the polite thing to do. And I'm not sure what to do now. I never expected this. So we just sit and talk and watch TV and it wasn't that great. But in my defense, I never told her where I live. During summer break, she invited me out to a cafe, and that was pretty nerve-wracking, because now I had to make the efforts to meet her. I tried to get out of it by saying, "I'm sorry, I don't know if I can go, because it's just so hot today, and I'll sweat too much," and she wasn't having it. She was like, "Okay, what? Just get a deodorant." We went to a cafe and talked, and I can't actually remember much of what happened, so I guess it was fine. Except I remember one thing, I found out cafes are very expensive. After that, meeting her was fine. We hung out, we went to see movies. One time we went to Liseberg, the theme park here in Gothenburg, and she insisted the entire time that we go on a freefall ride called Höjdskräcken, which literally translates to the fear of heights. And I thought, you know what? This is actually my time to shine. I can finally show her what a badass I am. So we get on it, and it's going higher and higher, and I'm slowly beginning to realize just how much of a mistake this is. I can see the entirety of my city from a perspective I have never seen before. And then there's just a second where you are without gravity, and you fall down, and I let out a high-pitched scream, and gravity is pushing my head down, and my left shoe is almost falling off, and I just closed my eyes for the rest of the ride. We get off, I'm disheveled, and she's like, "So do you want to do that again?" Eventually the time came where we had done a lot of things together, and she admitted that all of this had not been for nothing. She confessed that she actually liked me, and I wasn't sure how to feel about that yet. So I didn't do anything. And then it stopped. It's raining now. So this is a weird story that I don't often tell, firstly because it's very cringy, and secondly because it feels like a bad story for an anime. You have a weird loser protagonist who has no reason to be the main character, and you have the manic pixie dream girl who shows up to solve all of his problems. And it was really helpful. I had someone pushing me to confront my social anxiety, and I came out of that not being afraid of girls anymore. I had someone pushing me and helping me, but then when it came to a relationship, I couldn't do it. I think that whether you're in a friendly or a romantic relationship, you can't have one person whose role is to push and help the other person. That's a bad relationship. It wears you down to have to be someone else's support. And a good relationship is when two people are able to support each other. I had a very anime moment in my life, but in the final moment when everything was supposed to magically come together, instead, reality settled in. In the end, things didn't come together, and instead, there was a final lesson to learn. That someone can help you the entire way, but that person can't make you stand up for yourself. I don't necessarily think the endpoint should have been that I ended up with a relationship, but rather, I could not say no, and I could not say yes. It was a final lesson where I could look back at all of this and all I had learned, and all the things that came out of this, and I could finally say, thank God life is not anime.